itself to order. And on the agenda, we'll start off. On agenda item 1, I'd like to recognize Sergeant Casey Harwine. I'm sorry, I should have told you we moved that. I beg your pardon.
I have an old agenda.
Sergeant Casey, is he here? Would you come up, please, sir?
Sir.
Sergeant Casey, we would like to honor you tonight and recognize you for your service to the United States Army. He has served in the United States Army for 7 years, spending time in 5 different countries. He has served as a founding member of the Special Operations Task Force, served on the U.S. Army Japan Honor Guard, supervised and maintained 2 functional security offices in 2 countries. He has been awarded numerous medals and ribbons, including Defense Material Service Medal, Army Achievement Medal, Army Good Conduct Medal, Operation Resolve Campaign Medal, Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Medal, Non-Commissioned Officer Professional Development Ribbon, and the Overseas Ribbon. And this is just a few of his accomplishments. And on behalf of the Monroe City Council and the City of Monroe, we would like to say thank you for your service, for all you've done and what you will continue to do for us. Mr. Harwine, thank you so much for your service. Appreciate you coming. Always good that we can recognize our servicemen for what they do for us each and every day. And we do thank you very much, Sergeant. Now we'll go to item 1, award of financial reporting achievement.
Now it's my
Lisa,
turn.
thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Lisa Strickland, the Finance Director for the City of Monroe. And tonight we are here because the City of Monroe's comprehensive annual financial report, or CAFR, for the year ended June 30th, 2016, was awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting by the Government Finance Officers Association. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition for excellence in state and local government financial reporting. In order to be awarded a Certificate of Achievement, a government must publish an easily readable and efficiently organized comprehensive annual financial report. This report must satisfy both generally accepted accounting principles and all applicable legal requirements. The CAFR has been judged by an impartial panel to meet the high standards of the program, including demonstrating a constructive spirit of full disclosure to clearly communicate its financial story and motivate potential users and user groups to read the CAFR. A Certificate of Achievement is valid for a period of 1 year only. It is awarded to the department that is primarily responsible for preparing the award-winning CAFR. I would like to express my gratitude to Ashley Ivy, who coordinates the publication of the city's CAFR. And I'd also like to thank all of the department heads and the individuals throughout the city that submit information that's reported in our annual report. Without the cooperation of staff, we wouldn't be able to publish a great document like we have. But this award is being presented to the Department of Finance for the City of Monroe for the 24th consecutive year. Thank you.
Great job, Lisa. Lisa, I want to thank you and your department for a great job that you do. Like you just said, 24 years that you got this award. Well, that says something about your department. Thank you for what you do. Item 2, a proclamation declaring Larry Robinson Day. Mr. Robinson, and I recognize here. You do it?
Yeah, I can talk.
Mr. Gary Anderson, I recognize you at this time, sir.
earned national recognition as a high school theater teacher, and whereas Mr. Robinson is a drama teacher at the Central Academy of Technology and Arts in Monroe, and whereas Mr. Robinson received bachelor's teaching and master's degree from UNC Chapel Hill, UNC Charlotte, UNC Greensboro, respectively, and whereas Mr. Robinson began his career in the Union County Public Schools teaching at Monroe Middle School, Monroe High School, and Parkwood High School, and whereas Mr. Robinson was named Teacher of the Year at Monroe Middle School in 1986 and Parkwood High School in 1999. And whereas Mr. Robinson was named Outstanding Theater Teacher in North Carolina by the North Carolina School of the Arts in 2003, and Teacher of the Year by the North Carolina Theater Arts Educators in 2016. And whereas Mr. Robinson is also a talented playwright whose play Illuminations was the winner of the Greensboro Playwrights Forum North Carolina New Play Project in 2011. And whereas Mr. Robinson was nationally recognized as the first teacher to earn the Inspiring Teacher Award at the National High School Musical Theater Awards in 2017. Now therefore, I, Bobby Kilgore, by the virtue and authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Monroe, do hereby proclaim May 2nd, 2017 as Larry Robinson Day. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. And I know all the council members would love to shake your hand as well.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Robinson, thank you for all you do out there. I've been to several of your plays, and they are top-notch play. Everybody, if you folks have never been out there to see a play these folks put on, it is absolutely Broadway right here on Lancaster Avenue. Thank you for what you do for our county and city.
Thank you so much. Thank you for what you do. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Item 3, at this time, Union County Public Schools, 17th School Officer of the Year, School Resource Officer of the Year, David Evat. I'll let the chief take care of that, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, Mr. Faison, and council members. It's my distinct honor. My staff have prepared a speech for me tonight, but I'm just going to put it down and just talk to you as a resident of Union County. I've known David since we were in elementary school, and he was selected this year as our SRO. But David's a living example of it. When we invest in our children, you can see what happens when they go through our public school system. He started out at Western Union Elementary and went to Parkwood Middle and on to Parkwood High, and he came to work after graduating from Parkwood to work for the city of Monroe. He's been here almost 28 years. This is a true example of when we as leaders invest in our employees. He's a third member of our organization to be School Resource Officer of the Year. It's quite an honor for all these officers. But you see them standing in this room, Officer Peretti at Monroe High School, Sergeant Nash is still over him. But when you have someone that's invested in the community, but then you have a school system that can train and teach people like what we have here, and we're so honored to have, then this is what you have. You have someone who graduated from the public school system, who came to work for the city which he grew up in, and he became a member of the police department. In turn, he went back to high school. Dr. Fasin's here tonight, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Anderson's a member at CATA, but the impact that David's had since he's gone over to CATA can't be measured by awards or recognitions. Yes, he'll go on to the state competition to represent Union County Public School System, but more importantly, he's representing the city of Monroe. So tonight, I want to recognize David and his family. I just want to say thank you to David. If he'll come up, and Dr. Fasin, I'm sure they'd like to see the picture. You want to come up and have a picture made with Dad tonight, David? Come on, that's all right. That's all right. You want to say anything?
Thank you.
You better shake their hand. So. All right, thank you.
David, thank you for all you do in the school system.
Glad to have you with us.
Appreciate what you do. You do a great job. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Here we go. The next item is, throughout the state of North Carolina, it's Municipal Clerks Week. And we want to recognize our clerk, who's been our clerk for 10 years, been with the city for about 19 or 20 years. I'd like to read a proclamation for Bridget. Bridget, you have done an outstanding job for us. Thank you so much. We just felt like that we need to do something to recognize you and your department also. It says, whereas the office of municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of municipal clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the local government bodies, and the agencies of government at all levels. Whereas Bridget Robinson is dutiful and diligently served the city of Monroe since her appointment as city clerk in 2007 with the utmost level of professionalism and dedication. Bridget Robinson has served as information center on many functions of local government community, oftentimes going beyond the call of duty to satisfy the public, city council, and fellow staff members' requests. Municipal clerk continues to strive to improve the administration through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, the annual meeting of the state, provincial, county, and professional organizations. Now therefore, I, Bobby Kilgore, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the city of Monroe, proclaim May 7th through May 13th as Municipal Clerks Week. Encourage all citizens of Monroe to express appreciation and support to Bridget Robinson for the vital services she performs and the dedication to the community she represents. In witness, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Monroe be affixed the 2nd day of May 2017. Bridget, we want to thank you for all you do for us. Come on, Bridget. Thank you for all the work that you do for the council and, of course, for the citizens of Monroe and the entire city hall. You do a great job, you and your staff, and Sherry. We just appreciate what y'all do. We don't say it enough, but we want to tell you tonight we appreciate you.
Okay, thank you, it's a pleasure.
You got 30 minutes.
No, thank you.
We'll go to item 4, budget amendments. Larry?
Consent agenda. City Council uses the consent agenda to consider items that are controversial and routine. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and vote of council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of council, a council member or a citizen with the consent of council. The consent agenda contains the following items. Item number 4 is for the purpose of approving 3 budget amendments. The first is a $1,400 donation from Hendrick Chevrolet Cadillac for the Cruise In and Union County Community Arts Council for Music on Main concerts, and they were $1,400 and $2,000 respectively. The second is a $2,500 donation from Walmart to be used for Great Camp and True Blue Christmas by the Monroe Police Department. The third is to recognize funds totaling $22,000 in change from industry participants and sponsors associated with the Economic Development Commission's Spring 2017 Supervisory Seminar Series. Item 5 is for the purpose of calling 4 public hearings to be held on June 6, 2017. The first hearing is for the proposed annual budget. The second is a hearing to consider the award of a Level 2 Economic Development Incentive Grant to American Wick Drain. The third is a hearing to consider the Union County Community Shelter request to rezone property located at 102 Allen Street from general business and general industrial to conditional district. And the fourth is a hearing to consider the request to rezone property to operate automotive uses at 1147 and 1149 Curtis Street. Item 6 is for the purpose of adopting the capital project budget ordinance authorizing $1,207,250 to fund the replacement of Franklin Street water main. Item 7 is for the purpose of authorizing the increase in the annual purchase contract of fusible PVC pipe by $57,120 for a total of $173,240, which will be used by the Water Resource Department. Item 8 are minutes and reports lettered 8A through 8G. 8A involves disbursements for fiscal year 2016-2017 for City Council's discretionary funds. There's one set of disbursements by the governing body this period. Mayor Pro Tem Duncan made disbursements to the Christian Family Care Home in the amount of $500 and to Safer Communities Ministry in the amount of $500. 8B is financial reports for March 2017. And in summary, the assigned general fund balance is $3,030,436 as of April 4th. There are 7 sets of minutes lettered 8C through F. Item 8G is a summary of contracts awarded, change orders approved, and city manager settlement of claims. There were 16 contracts for the period totaling $301,000 and change, and there were no claims settled this period. Item 9 is for the purpose of approving a budget amendment appropriating $15,779.13 as reimbursement from the North Carolina Department of Public Safety for mutual aid provided by Monroe Fire Department during the aftermath of Hurricane Matthew. Item 10 is for the purpose of authorizing submittal of a letter of local support to the North Carolina Department of Transportation indicating commitment of a local match and contribution for 3 airport projects that include constructing a taxi line and apron for an additional corporate hangar, constructing a parallel taxiway, relocating and widening the existing parallel taxiway. Total project costs approach $4.5 million, and the total local match is just under $500,000. Item 11 is for the purpose of adopting the 2017-2018 fee schedule. Item 12 involves 3 resolutions. The first is a resolution is for the purpose of adopting 2016 Monroe Fire Department Community Risk Assessment and Standards of Cover. The second resolution is for the purpose of approving the fiscal year 2017 equipment installment financing with Bank of America Public Capital in an amount not to exceed $1,890,000 for up to 119 months for previously considered and approved acquisitions of 3 fire department vehicles. The third resolution is for the purpose of approving the lease with Arrowwood Aviation having 6 5-year terms and includes 3% rate increase at each and every 5-year renewal. Item 13 is for the purpose of awarding a sanitary sewer main inspection and repair project contract to Instituform for a total amount of $298,215.77, which includes a 5% contingency. Item 14 is for the purpose of approving March's tax refunds and releases totaling $12,510.25. Item 15 is for the purpose of approving 3 individual interlocal agreements between the City of Monroe and the towns of Indian Trail, Waxhaw, and Wingate related to the Retail Recruitment Initiative. Item 16 is for the purpose of approving the budget amendment and awarding the contract for the wastewater treatment plant improvement project to Wharton Smith Incorporated in the amount of $1,449,566 plus a 3% contingency allowance. Mayor and members of the City Council, this completes my synopsis of items placed on the consent agenda.
Move we approve. Have a motion?
Second.
Have a motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, other passed. Item 17 is a public hearing award of a level 2 economic development incentive, Griner Bio 1.
Mayor Kilgore, Council, Manager Faison. It's my pleasure to bring before you tonight an Economic Development Incentive Grant request by Griner Bio 1 North America, previously referred to as Project Draco. Griner Bio 1 has been located in the Monroe Corporate Center since the year 2000 and currently employs over 300 people. The company, headquartered in Austria, manufactures plastic injection molded products for the medical laboratory industry. In addition to Monroe, they have production facilities throughout Europe, South America, and Asia. The company is considering the Monroe Corporate Center for an investment in new manufacturing equipment to meet increased demand for its product on a global basis. If Monroe is selected, the anticipated new taxable investment in equipment would be up to $9,700,000. The project is also expected to add approximately 10 new jobs. The company approached our office about the potential investment in February of this year. They have indicated that incentives are a very important factor for the project. Monroe is in competition for this expansion with other corporate production locations in South America and Asia. Tonight, we are requesting your consideration for a Level 2 Economic Development Incentive Grant valued at $213,400 to be paid over 5 years based upon appraised value each year as appraised by the Union County Tax Administration Office. The grant is based on the company's projected total investment of $9,700,000 in equipment and machinery over the grant period. Based on this potential investment in Monroe, the current tax rate, and assuming a consistent assessed value with no depreciation, the company will pay estimated ad valorem taxes on the new taxable investment of $284,355 over the grant period. Of course, actual tax revenue to the city will be based on the assessed value of the investment each year, depending on the depreciation schedule and the timing of the investments. This project achieves a cost-benefit analysis ratio of 1.39 to 1 over the first 5 years of the project and achieves a 14.39 to 1 ratio over the life of the project. We presented this project to the Monroe Union County Economic Development Board of Advisors at their April 11th meeting. The Board of Advisors recommended we bring this project to City Council for your consideration. We also brought the project to the Union County Commission last night, where a similar economic development grant was awarded. Therefore, the Monroe Union County Economic Development staff recommends the award of this Level 2 performance-based economic development incentive grant to Griner Bio 1, not to exceed $213,400 over a 5-year period beginning in fiscal year 2019. At this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Rick McGinnis, Executive Vice President of Finance with Griner Bio 1. Rick's here and is available to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone have any questions?
Appreciate your confidence in our city. You're a great addition.
This is a public hearing. Anyone here who would like to speak in favor? Anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and take action.
I make a motion that we approve the economic development incentive.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that'll pass. Thank you very much. Item 18, public hearing on abandonment of Allen Street from Miller Street West to Terma Street. At this time, who's handling that? Jim.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Included in your agenda package for consideration is a request from Kathy Bragg, the Executive Director of the Union County Community Shelter, to abandon Allen Street, extending west of Miller Street to its terminus within tax parcel 09229015C. Also included is a conceptual layout plan for the proposed community shelter to be built at this location. As part of the city's review process, the request has been routed to the various departments as well as the city's technical review committee. Comments provided by the technical review committee meeting on March 15, 2017 are also provided in your package. Duke Power and the City of Monroe both have above-ground power lines located within the existing 30-foot right-of-way for Allen Street, as well as there's an existing 60-inch water main maintained by Water Resources. A public utility easement will need to be retained for the width of the right-of-way in keeping with North Carolina General Statute 168-299 to accommodate these utilities. In compliance with North Carolina Statute 168-299 procedure for permanently closing streets and alleys, the following actions have been completed by staff. A copy of the resolution of intent has been sent by certified mail to the adjoining property owner. The street has been posted in 2 places along the maintained right-of-way, and the resolution of intent has been published once a week for 4 consecutive weeks prior to today's public hearing in accordance with the general statute. The request to abandon the section of Allen Street by Union County Community Shelter was reviewed by the Public Enterprise Committee at their meeting on March 21st. The committee concurred with staff's finding and recommended abandonment subject to a public utility easement, retain the width of the existing 30-foot right-of-way. Therefore, it is recommended that City Council approve resolution R-2017-26, abandoning the section of Allen Street west of Miller Street to its terminus, subject to a public utility easement, retain the width of the existing 30-foot right-of-way. Is there any questions?
Any questions of Jim? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anyone here who'd like to speak in favor? I have Ms. Bragg signed up. Would you like to speak? Any questions of Ms. Bragg? All right. Anyone else who would like to speak in favor? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and take action.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that's approved. All right. Item 19, zoning map amendment request for rezone property at Wesley Hill Trail.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Doug Britton, the Planning Department. It's tonight presenting a zone map amendment request filed by U.S. Development LLC for the property located along Wesley Hill Trail, which is located off of Lancaster Highway. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property from single-family residential R20 to conditional district Fieldstone Phase 2 in order to develop Phase 2 of the Fieldstone subdivision, which will consist of 46 age-restricted single-family lots. Phase 1 of this subdivision was approved back in 2002 and authorized the development of 54 single-family attached duplex lots. At that time, probably to about 2014, only 6 of those lots have been developed. And so in 2014, it was requested that the remainder of the Phase 1 be developed for single-family residential detached homes. And the city attorney at that time did approve that request, and the remaining lots in Phase 1 have been developed as far as single-family detached homes. Property is outlined in blue, as I stated, is located off of Wesley Hill Trail, which is off Lancaster Avenue. Subject property is zoned R20. All the adjacent properties are zoned R20 as well, with the exception of the SUP that was approved for Fieldstone Phase 1, and there's general business up there off that area of Wesley Hill Trail and Lancaster Avenue. All the surrounding uses are single family. There is an institutional use, which is a church located at this location right here. As stated, the applicant is requesting to rezone to a conditional district to develop Phase 2, which will be a total of 46 single-family residential lots. They're age-restricted, totaling of 4.73 acres of open space. The density of the project will be 3.75 units per acre. The lot sizes range from 4,388 square feet to 11,820 square feet, with the average lot size of approximately 5,200 square feet. The setbacks proposed for the subdivision will be 20 on the front of the lots, and then 5 on the sides and the rear. As stated, an age-restricted project, they are advertised as a HUD age-restricted project, which means that 80% of the homes will be occupied by at least one person that is 55 or older. The remaining 20% can be occupied by any age, families, or whatnot. The owner or management of the housing facility must publish and adhere to the policies and procedures that demonstrate the intent to provide 55 and years older housing, and the facility community must comply with the rules issued by a secretary for verification of occupancy through reliable surveys and affidavits. Just to kind of go some aspects of the site plan, the applicant will have 2 trees planted per yard. As far as elevation of the houses go, The developer is proposing to have homes in a craftsman-style architecture with a minimum of 1,500 square feet of heated floor area. The proposed exterior will include brick, hardy board siding, stone. The front of each home will be predominantly brick and stone, with hardy board siding used only as an accent material only. The sides and rear can be completely hardy plank if they so choose, or if they want to be brick, they can be brick, but they can be hardy plank. Each house will have a 2-car garage. All garages are proposed to be front load, with which is consistent with Phase 1 development. The developer is also proposing the garages to have carriage style doors. The applicant is of the 12.28 acres of subdivision. The applicant is proposing 4.73 acres to be open space, which is approximately 38.5% of the area. The applicant is also providing a 50-foot buffer, undisturbed buffer that will be adjacent to the lots in Carmel Village as a measure to try to reduce any adverse impacts this subdivision may have on that with the larger lots. The project will have sidewalks throughout the subdivision as required by the standard detail manual. The project will also be required to have stormwater detention measures in place to be consistent with the engineer requirements. As far as transportation goes, when Phase 1 was done, which was 54 lots at the time, the developer at the time was required to install a left turn lane and a right deceleration lane, which currently serves the existing subdivision as well now. The applicant is proposing the roads, which is this portion of Wesley Hill Trail, and then this road here, and then the other cul-de-sac, to be publicly maintained roads. And one little point of note about this, obviously Langston Avenue is a state maintained road, but all the roads within Phase 1, including this portion of Wesley Hill Trail, are privately maintained. And from an engineering standpoint, you can't go from a publicly maintained road to a private road back to a public road. So what he is proposing to do is bring Wesley Hill Trail, the existing portion, up to public standards that the city would take over. There are certain improvements he's going to make to the street, but he's willing to do that so he can have these roads within Phase 2 as being publicly maintained roads. And with that along Wesley Hill Trail there, the existing cross-section has sidewalks on both sides, and so what staff has suggested to continue with this portion of Wesley Hill Trail to continue with that same cross-section, which will be sidewalks on both sides as well. The fire department did recommend, as far as going through the TRC review process, to have the developer install an emergency access connection in between Fieldstone Phase 2 and Carmel Village. The emergency connection will be made from Phase 2 of Fieldstone to Carmel Village. The developer will install a gravel access drive between the two subdivisions and install a gate that will be siren activated for emergency vehicles only. These improvements will be installed by the developer and will eventually be maintained by the homeowners association and responsibility of the homeowners association. The land development plan indicates this area for low density residential. The proposed use is not consistent with that, but staff proposed lot sizes of less than a half acre. Staff has opined that the use is reasonable because of the existing residential uses in the area. This project was presented at the plan board, and the plan board did recommend denial of the project. Staff has provided a resolution in your packet for that, though, but staff will go on to say, though, if council so chooses to approve the request, which obviously is up to y'all's discretion completely, staff would recommend the following conditions be placed on it in addition to what's on the plan as well now that's indicated in the notes. First note being, provide the city with a copy of the Fieldstone Phase 2 restricted covenants to ensure language is provided stating the development is age restricted and the age verification procedures. Number 2, a census showing the age of all residents residing in the development with breakdowns for lots within the development will be provided to the city of Monroe in July of each year. Number 3, the minimum heated square footage for homes within Phase 2 shall be 1,500 heated square feet. Number 4, the emergency connection between Carmel Village and Fieldstone shall be aesthetically landscaped and maintained. And number 5, the emergency access connection between Phase 2 of Fieldstone and Carmel Village shall be maintained by the developer and or the homeowners association. I'll be glad to answer any questions. As I stated, there is a resolution in your packet, and the applicant's here to address you tonight as well.
Council, have any questions?
Yeah, well, what's the average cost of these homes?
The what?
The average cost of the homes?
Developer probably bear. I mean, from statements to me, there would be at least 200 or if not more.
I have a hypothetical question. You say it's age restricted, so it has to be occupied by someone 55 or over?
The 80% do.
80%.
Yeah, the 80% do. Now, they can do, and staff had talked to them, the developer's wishes, he would rather them all be 55 and older, but at minimum, 80% to be 55, at least 55 and older. The other 20%, they could be in their 20s or, whatnot.
Did you say the planning board recommended
No.
or denied it? Denied?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is there, there's nothing in our ordinance about connecting one subdivision to another.
Within the engineering detail manual, there is. The engineering detail manual states that if you have at least 100 lots, it requires 2 access points. So when this project was originally submitted, I keep on looking at you across. When this project was originally submitted, staff did request that the developer connect the 2 subdivisions for full movement, for anybody could drive through. But when this project went to the planning board, in additionally to recommend denial, they did not like the connection at all. So they recommend that he remove the connection. It was completely up to the developer. So the developer did remove that connection, and the fire department did request that they do the emergency connection. The fire department connection is in the dependencies of the fire code, which technically we're not able to enforce, but that recommendation from fire department has been moved forward to council, but it's just a recommendation for the emergency connection between the 2 subdivisions. And in my understanding from talking with the fire marshal about, the gate is a siren activated, so it would be triggered by either police, ambulance, or fire. And staff has made it very clear to the developer that will be up to him and the homeowner association to maintain over the years.
Now, let me ask you a question. Go over again what the developer put restrictions on himself based on this project.
And I can't show you this, I apologize. These are 2 of the elevations that was in your packet. Well, as far as most of you are aware too, as far as the state a couple of years ago took away the city's ability to regulate exterior materials. We typically negotiate those types of requirements through this process. So going through this process, the developer agreed to do brick and stone fronts with hardy accents. That's above and beyond, typically we can't require him to do anything. He could do, if he just wanted to do a by right subdivision of R20, he could put vinyl, but he's going through this process. We've negotiated that with him. He's also agreed to sod the whole entire yard, which the yards are small, but he's agreed to sod the front yard, side yards, and the rear yard. He's agreed to landscape around the gate area, and his square footages. Again, we cannot really require a certain square footage, but we did work with him to do a minimum square footage of anything no smaller than 1,500 square feet. The developer, like I said, he would probably sit there and say that he would prefer the whole entire subdivision to be at least, be all 55 and older, but he is going to hold to the 80%. But as far as with the material standpoint, it's consistent with what's out there in phase 1, if not a little more. And there'll be all 2-car garages, all single-family homes.
So no vinyl.
No, sir, no vinyl at all.
What is the benefit to the fire department of having that gate between the 2 subdivisions?
The benefit, though, because, obviously being familiar with Carmel Village, if you're at the back of Carmel Village, it's not very easy to get out of Carmel Village from the back to get out on Lancaster Avenue. But from fire standpoint was, if there was ever something going on at the back of Carmel Village or in Fieldstone, they would have easy access to get from the back of one neighborhood to another neighborhood without having to go all the way out to Lancaster Avenue and go around. That was the reason for that.
But if you had a house on fire in Carmel Village, you're not going to take that fire truck and leave Carmel Village and go to the next neighborhood. So you're going to be calling another fire truck, which is going to come in the other entrance. I know that 2 or 3 times that's been requested, once at Forest Hills and Carmel Village and once at Brooks Farm, and the council has never saw fit to do that. And I don't see any reason to do that at the present time. I think each one should have its own merits.
If we decide not to grant that entrance between the 2 subdivisions, Or would it mean that there'll have to be a different configuration of the fire hydrants in the subdivision at that backside so that there'll be plenty of water service in case of a fire?
No, it wouldn't change the layout of the fire hydrant. And at this point in time, all that hasn't been done yet. This is basically just the approval of the layout and sketch plan, but that hasn't been done yet. If you didn't do it, you just left it, didn't make the emergency connection, it's just gonna be basically either because it's basically the same size as the lot, or it would just be basically a square open space.
If I could just one thing to add to that, and that emergency connection is not so much for our access as it is to be able to get residents out should you have some type of emergency there. You've only got one way in or out. If you have some situation that blocks that, that one entrance and you need to do an evacuation for whatever reason. So it's really more, as a means to get the residents out should something happen other than, us being able to get in. So that was kind of the reason for that request.
Okay, I guess I'm wondering what we do for for subdivisions where we have this type of density, and there's only that one entrance for the residents to use.
And we just deal with it on a case by case basis. Whatever the situation is, we just it is what it is. So we just deal with it.
And I guess my other concern would be that even though it's blocked off to vehicles, that pedestrians will be able to walk, back and forth at that entrance.
Yeah, I mean, and they can walk back and forth without it, but does it make it easier with the emergency access there for them to go back and forth? Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Okay.
Any other questions, council? Thank you, sir.
All right.
This is a public hearing. Anyone here who would like to speak in favor? I have several people who have signed up. I will call the names as the way they were signed up, first, second, third, and so forth. And if you would, please hold it to 3 minutes comments. If you would, I've got several people signed up. If you would hold your comments to 3 minutes or less, I certainly appreciate it. The first one I have signed up is Steve. Is it Steve Lee? Murphy. I don't know why I got that other name. There's another name on there, but anyway, Steve Murphy, we recognize you at this time, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Town Council. As the landowner of the Phase 1 and townhomes, as well as a member of the HOA board, I'm here to represent for them as well. We are in favor of this project for the most part. There are two issues that we'd like to make sure are set up in here, it's at least looked at before it's agreed to. On the open space, if you'll notice at the bottom, they recommended a 50-foot undisturbed buffer adjacent to the Carmel Village subdivision. We spoke to Stephen Rosenberg of U.S. Development in a teleconference at our HOA meeting on 4/24, and he agreed to put a 50-foot buffer on our side as well. And we want to make sure that's into the paperwork that ours will have a 50-foot buffer so that we're blocked. It's a giant hill behind our homes there, and the water just flows completely downhill. We have a lot of drainage issues on the current townhomes in Division 1. We don't want to have more water by taking all the trees out and letting water just rush off that hill, and that's why he's agreed to look at that 50-foot. The other question we would have is who is being designated to be the builder of the sites. We know that U.S. Development will set their program up for the hard landscaping and set it all in play with the utility setups and everything, but there will be a site sold off to a builder. Same thing like they did on Phase 1, and that went to D.R. Horton. We had spoken also to D.R. Horton, to Mark O'Brien, who's the vice president of D.R. Horton for the Charlotte area and covers this area, and he said that they will not be doing the building. So we would like to know who the builder would be representing them. But those are the only two outstanding issues we would have. Other than that, we are in favor of putting it through.
Thank you, Mr. Steve. Number 2, Mike Battle. Mr. Battle.
No, I almost signed the wrong form here, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm satisfied.
All right. Welcome. Carlos?
Same thing.
Same thing, okay. Mr. Cook, Angela Cook? Same thing? How about, is it Sally Huff? I'll recognize you at this time, ma'am. If you will, I should have told the first gentleman, if you will, give us your name and address. We need that for the record. I'm sorry I didn't say it to him, but we got it.
Steve Murphy, 2033 Stony Point Circle.
Thank you. I don't know my name is Sally Shaw, and my property abuts up to this proposed subdivision. And I don't know what your way you handle things, but when I was president of the city council a number of years ago, we went out and checked the properties that were involved. Our property happens to be considerably below the properties that they want to designate as a subdivision, and we already have a drainage problem. And with more homes up there, it's going to be a real problem. They did finally put in a French drain, which really didn't help the situation that much, and they just checked that a week or so ago, excuse me, and it's practically filled with silt at this time. And so I'm just afraid of what will happen. My property happens to be one of the ones that are on the highest part of the the hill. And the drainage is a real problem for me, and I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Would that buffer, Doug, would that help that? That buffer, I'm not asking our planner, the buffer that they're gonna put there?
I don't know exactly where she's at, but if you live in Carmel Village?
No. Can I speak to that?
Okay.
She's one of our townhome owners like we are. And that would be the 50-foot buffer I was speaking to, would protect that hill from running down in her backyard.
So that would protect
Yes,
her?
mine,
Okay.
it's the steepest behind my place,
Okay.
so I would definitely.
You got 50 foot on each side, so you actually got a 100-foot buffer. That should take care of it. It should take care of it.
Thank you.
Ms. Bradley, Fran Bradley, recognize you at this time, ma'am. That's at 2009 Stony Point Circle for the clerk.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I live in the first duplex at 2009. It was the model home, and I'm adjacent. Sally and I share the building, and I just wanted to reiterate about the drainage problem we currently have. It's not been addressed. We have French drains that are full of silt and mosquitoes, and I'm concerned in regards to the construction of, I worked for a custom home builder before in Florida. I know what to do. They go in and they tear all the trees down. Now, this buffer zone you're talking about, is that going to be not touched? Are the woods still going to be there? Is the property big enough to put the property, the road in there and still leave those trees alone? Because I'm here to tell you, those trees are gone and we are definitely going to have more problems that the city says they don't address because it's private property, and the HOA can't do it properly either, apparently. And I'm a little concerned because I signed a petition. I thought that we did not approve, the homeowners did not approve of this extra building. And then you get up and say, oh no, you're happy with that.
With the discussion we had with Doug Britt yesterday, we were satisfied with the program as long as the 50-foot buffer of trees were left in places, which was told to us by Steve Rosenberg of U.S. Developments that that would be the case. We just did not see that on this open space. That's why I brought it up to the town council.
Okay, and that would be 50 feet
50
from
foot.
where the trees are
Going back
past the power easement.
Correct. All the way down to where Mr. Little's line breaks up on it.
Because in addition to the woods that are behind us, and if they go in and they scrape everything down, the water's just going to come on down. But you can walk my backyard to the end of the 6 buildings, which are 12 units, and I'm downhill. Sally and I are downhill. So not only do we get what's going to happen up above us, but we're getting down. And my property was the model home, and it's a problem with the property in the back being damp all the time. and water, and I'm concerned about that. I'm also concerned about the wildlife issues and stuff, and the extra traffic. In regards to the road being pushed through, even though it would be, if you're suggesting the private access for the emergency vehicles, if it's gonna be maintained and it's gonna be sidewalks just like the other, we continue to have a problem with ATV riders that I don't know where they live. I've called the police several times. It was worse before they built the homes in there. And they come riding up the power easement, and they've been on the sidewalk going down to Lancaster, and they'll cut through there, and they'll go over to the, what is the BP, not the BP station, but the gas station and the convenience shop. Now there's a Dollar General out there. And I can see, if there's gonna be a gate there, it has to be something that's not just a gate. On the other end of that easement, if you go into Carmel Village, there's a cow gate or whatever. It's a big gate maintained by the city apparently. But there's woods on either side of it, and there's grass on either side of it, and the ATVs just go right past it.
50-foot buffer each way, give you a 100-foot buffer, and of course, they're gonna be deciding a little bit, about the
Okay.
speed or whatever, but.
But, thank you for,
Well,
letting me
absolutely.
hear about that.
Thank you,
And
ma'am.
I appreciate it, and my name is Fran Bradley, and I'm at 2009.
All right.
Stony Brook.
I'm,
Thank you.
I'm calling for people who speak in favor. I've got a couple, they all signed, everybody seems to be signed up on the same page. Some of it checked for, a couple against, or whatever. I'm calling for now, if you're for the development, I'll ask, whoever wants to speak. Yes, sir, I recognize you. You give me your name, sir.
Doug, would you be kind enough to put the site plan up? Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name's Stephen Rosenberg. I'm the applicant, and I wanted to just clarify a couple of things for you. First, we've worked on this for several months, and we've worked closely with staff and with residents, and we're pleased to say we've made substantial change since we appeared before the Planning Committee to get in line with what staff and the residents wanted. One thing that wasn't mentioned, we, as Doug said, have done many things which we didn't have to do, but we want to do to conform with what the city wants. We also added no rentals, so that would not be an issue with respect to the project. We purchased this 5 years ago as a failed development, and we had to build out the homes and then finish off that development. I'm still on the floor with a little shock. I thought D.R. Horton was going to be the builder. I have lunch with the president Thursday, so I'm a little taken back with that. Just to answer that question. Again, it's an active adult community. This is phase 2. It's 55 plus. No vinyl. I wanted to speak about the 50-foot buffer and the drainage issue. If you look at the site plan, if I can, Doug, will this show up if I point to it?
Yes.
Okay, that's actually the detention pond. So if these ladies live directly in front of that, that detention pond, which is part of our plan, will go a long way to solve that problem. Also, not only is there the 50-foot buffer that you can see behind phase 1, if you look at where the lots are, they're at least another 100 feet beyond that. That'll be an uncleared area. So in our opinion, the detention pond will go a long way to solve the existing drainage. We'll have 150 feet of undisturbed area. And any drainage that we do with respect to stormwater runoff, and I think staff would agree, would be in the roads. So we're going to substantially reduce the stormwater that's there today by putting in stormwater runoff. I'm here to answer any other question the council may have directly.
Council, have any questions? Thank you,
Again,
sir.
thank you for allowing us to make this presentation.
Thank you very much. Is anyone else who would like to speak in favor? Whether you signed or not, yes, sir, I'll recognize you. Give us your name and address for the record, sir.
Mike Battle,
All right, Mike.
2041 Stony Point Circle.
3 minutes or less, please.
So it won't be that long.
Thank you.
Mayor, council, thank you so much. Personally, we've talked to Mr. Rosenberg, and we believe he's going to do what he says he's going to do. That land's been vacant for a long time. This neighborhood has been dragging on since 2005, and we're the original 12 townhomes, and it's gone single family now, and we've all learned to live together and work together as an HOA. And as I understand, I may be wrong, but I think this is supposed to be maintenance-free. Is that correct? And ours is maintenance-free, the townhome. So this is 46 more units. I think very nice units. I understand starting at 200,000, going to the high 200,000s. Should be good for Monroe. Should be good for our neighborhood. And it's very attractive homes. I don't see a downside to it. I mean, they're going out of their way for the drainage issues, I would say. We're small right now. I want to say we've got maybe 54, 55 homes in HOA. That's not a lot. I mean, because we've got private roads to deal with and things that we're kind of stuck with. This is going to be public roads. But when you add another 46, now we've become a neighborhood of 100 homes. Much, much better financially for us as a unit as to move forward. And this group will be more like us, maintenance-free. So, I mean, I don't see a downside to it, and I will fully support it, and I know hopefully you guys will. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone else who'd like to speak in favor? Ms. Desio, we'll recognize you at this time.
Good evening. Thank y'all for listening to us and having us come. I represent the homeowners in Carmel Village. Margaret Desio, 2215 Knoll Gate Drive, Monroe. First of all, I'd like to say that Stephen has been very gracious. He's met with us several times. He has addressed every issue that we have had a problem with. One of our biggest problems was renters, and he has agreed to put it in the deed that they cannot be rented. So Carmel Village is very much in support of this development. The other thing, though, I'd like to ask you is we would seriously like for you to consider not connecting the two neighborhoods. We're an old neighborhood. We're one entrance in, one entrance out. We like it that way. And if, unless it's absolutely necessary, we'd like to keep that boundary between the two neighborhoods. But we're all in support of him, so thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else who'd like to speak in favor? Hearing none, is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am, if you will come to the podium, name and address, please, for the record.
Jeanette Lockhart, 929 Cameron Court. I apologize that I'm late, but I was out in the country doing some things. My concern is that I didn't hear, so I apologize, and I have not read the plat. But my concern is, where would the traffic dump out at? I'm concerned if it dumps out on Lanford Road, then we are already congested. We have had so many wrecks. We do believe it would be a safety hazard. If we're talking about 46 homes, I would assume we're talking about over 100 vehicles, considering that most families have 2 cars. We have recently the new Dollar General store that was built there. There has been numerous wrecks since that store was there because of turning. Most of the people who live in Cameron Court are very hesitant about turning into their own neighborhood and going out. In the morning, if you're going to work, you better be prepared for 20 minutes. That's not considering if the traffic is going to pump out directly in front of our entry. We're very much congested. We are concerned about where will the traffic dump out? Will that be the entry and will that be the exit? Likewise, we have one way in, one way out. I'm concerned because right now, there is a terrible safety hazard there. There have been so many wrecks since Dollar General had been there, and that's just a skip from where they would pull out at if that's where it would be their outlet. So I want you guys to consider if it's a safety hazard for that community, and that is my concern. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition?
Did we do a traffic safety or a traffic study on that?
We did not, because it's already served by a left turn lane anyway, and a right deceleration lane when phase 1 was done. So from a traffic point, I'm not an engineer, but there wouldn't be, it wouldn't warrant it for 100 lots, because like I said, they're already been served by a left turn lane and a right deceleration lane. It does empty out at that one point where you gain access to it right now at that same spot on Lancaster Avenue.
Okay. Any other questions for him? Thank you, sir.
Can I say one thing too, though? Just point of clarification, wherever y'all do. With the 50-foot buffer on their side, which would be, somewhere like, I don't know. My discussion with the residents has been that they prefer this area not to be graded or disturbed. And I shared that with Mr. Rosenberg, the developer, and he says his intention was probably not, but as far as to say a 50-foot buffer in the area right there, that's not indicated on the plan. So if that's the wishes, if y'all so choose to approve it, and that's what you're going to do, and he's agreeable to it, that needs to be indicated. And also, too, though, the no rentals, that was mentioned, but as far as that's not something we can put on the conditional district, that's going to be deed restricted. That's not something that we can enforce as a city. So that will not be on the conditional district plans of no rentals. That's something that's going to be deed restricted through the developer. Right. Just want to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Any other questions?
I have a question of the city attorney. The fire chief has been pretty adamant as far as having the access road, and Ms. Desio is saying that the residents don't want that. Is that a liability issue, or is that anything that we need to be concerned about? I just want your opinion on that.
No, because of the fact that the way the fire code has been written is we cannot enforce the appendices, which requires that connection, that gate. It is a thing that the chief and the department feels appropriate to have because we are for ways of ensuring preservation of life and protection of property. However, it would not, in my opinion, be a issue that would expose the city to liability. But it's always good to have something to enable for a quicker and more efficient response.
Okay, I have a question of Mrs. Desio. I just wanted to know, you're speaking for the residents of Carmel Village, and they understand the issues that there's one way in, one way out, and the reason for the access road, but you're saying that you do not want that access road. Is that what I understand?
That's correct. In fact, that was one of their biggest issues when they saw the original plan was, oh no, we don't want any connectivity.
Okay.
So they're well aware.
Okay.
May I say something? I know I wasn't going to talk earlier.
Yes, sir, if you'll come to the podium. Give us your name and address, please. Come to the podium here. Give us your name and address. We need that for the record. 3 minutes, sir, if you will.
Carlos Marquez, 2032 Stony Point Circle. I'm for the entrance there due to the fact not just for emergency vehicles, but for police department. If you have something going on in the next community, it means that they have to go all the way out of the commons to come all the way around, which is about half a mile, to get back into Stony Point or Fieldstone properties. That takes a lot of time. That means that a crime can be committed and the person can get away. So if the cops have that entrance there coming from the commons, it'll be easier for them to get to our community and make an arrest, opposed to having to go out half a mile and back. So that's...
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, sir. No,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? If you will, come to the podium, please. Name and address for the record in 3 minutes, please.
Connie Homola, and 2017 Stony Point and 2107 Fieldstone Gate. I'm also, questioning the safety of that street connecting, and I understand the importance of it. I live right on the corner of that first house, and people just race through there now and then turn. When that's connected, they're going to race right through to the other. And I was wondering if maybe speed bumps or something could be applied to where they're not going to come flying in. Whether that would help.
I know I'm not supposed to talk. My understanding is going to be a gate there. Is that not correct?
And
I mean, that's what they're proposing.
Speaking of something different. You're not speaking of the connecting road between the two subdivisions, are you?
Yes.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. And even right now, I mean, right where my house is, we do have the speeding problem, and nobody in our neighborhood watches the stop signs or the one way, we're having issues with that now. But now, as of May 1st, we have the cooperation of the Monroe Police, and they're gonna help us out on that. So I was just wondering that maybe, you know, with the connectivity, I didn't realize a gate would be going up.
That's my understanding. If it's one way or the other, if it's approved or not approved, that's up to the council. But my understanding is a gate going there. Is that, I am right, am I not?
That is correct.
Okay, so the people would have
It would not
something,
be, yeah, it'd be an outlet if you needed it at some point.
No, it would only be for siren.
Emergency
Emergency
transportation.
vehicles. It would not be for the
okay.
general public. It would only be for vehicles with sirens.
Yeah, I was gonna say, only if you needed it, it would be open. It's not gonna be an open gate. It's
Okay.
closed.
Very
If,
good.
I don't know how it's gonna turn out, approved or not approved, but that's what they're talking about.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition?
If there's I have a question.
Yes.
If there's a gate there, if there's the access gate, there's not going to be anywhere for pedestrians to be walking on there, is it?
The gate will be closed unless.
Well, that's what, yeah, we were talking about, they were talking about pedestrians. Is that an issue, Doug?
I mean, can a pedestrian walk around the gate?
Yes.
I mean, is it gonna be?
Oh, I thought it was all, okay.
I mean, it's gonna be a gate, if somebody wants to walk around it, yeah, they can walk around it. I mean, is it gonna be where a vehicle can drive through there? No, a vehicle can't. I mean, I can't say whether ATV can or not, but as far as somebody walk around if they want to, yeah, they could, but it just, what it's gonna be, it's gonna be a siren activated gate. The only people that'll be able to activate would be police, fire, or ambulance. Other than that, the gate would remain closed.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition?
Mayor,
Yes.
I have a question
Okay.
for Jim Lloyd, if he's still here. I don't know if Jim's still there. All right, we had a subdivision we looked at several months ago, and one of the concerns of the residents was drainage on the property. And at our committee meeting, Jim Lloyd said that the staff would have the opportunity, if the city council had approved that particular rezoning, the staff would have the opportunity to identify drainage problems and require that more than one pond be put on the property to take care of drainage problems if they felt that's what it would take. And I just wanted to see if that is still something that the staff has the ability to do. If the staff determines that one pond is not enough to take care of drainage issues for the subdivision, does the staff have the ability to require additional ponds to make sure that the drainage issues are taken care of?
There's two shown on the plan. And the developer would be required to meet the stormwater requirements of the city of Monroe. If it takes two ponds, it'll take two ponds. If they can do it in one pond, it can be in one pond. So they'll just be required to meet the requirements that depend upon, and I can't say how many ponds, but they're showing two potential ponds on the site that are in the common area.
Okay, but again, with this particular subdivision that we chose not to approve several months ago, the engineers went out, the city engineers went out, and they said that rather than having one pond to take care of the issues, that they probably would have recommended 3 ponds on the property. But that was not something that came up during discovery of when we were having the public hearing. And I was just trying to make a determination, does the staff have the ability to require that as many ponds as necessary be put on the subdivision to take care of what they think is a reasonable method of being able to handle that water?
And obviously, I'm not an engineer, but I mean,
I understand.
I guess my best answer to the question would be, if it takes two ponds to meet the stormwater requirements to comply with that, that's what it would take. But I can't speak to say if it's going to take 2 or 3. I mean, obviously it's going to take at least 1 because they're going to have to be required to meet state stormwater requirements. But whether it's going to be for sure 2, they're potentially showing 2 right now, and that's the best I can answer that question, Mr. Jordan.
But apparently that's not a part of our TRC process.
Well,
At
this stage it's not, because they're just seeking approval of the layout, basically a sketch plan. So it's not, unfortunately, it's not a fully engineered, designed plan with a fully engineered basin and showing how big the pond's gonna be and how many, that they don't do this level of scrutiny at this time of the project. That won't go until after approval. And like I said, when the engineering department reviews it, they'll review it to make sure it meets the requirements of the city stormwater manual.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you, sir. Anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing.
Mayor, I got two motions. One is that we do not require the interconnection. People from Carmel Village definitely don't want it, and I don't see where it helps anything. And then I would like to move to approve the zoning map amendment request to rezone the property located off Wesley Hill Trail from residential R20 to conditional district CD. Fieldhouse Phase 2, including adoption of the resolution of land development compliance. And also in this would be the 50-foot strip that Mr. Rosenberg told the gentleman here that they would put in. I want that put as part of the record. I'll make that motion.
I'm gonna second Lynn's motion and agree with the two additional things that he added.
Councilmember Kazai, I just want to make sure, you said actually, I think, two motions, but it sounds like the second one, which is for the approval with the two conditions, is your actual motion,
Yes.
Is that correct? And then with respect to staff had recommendations for additional items, if approved, are you not including those?
I'm not including those.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second.
Doug has a comment, Mayor.
Yeah, I was coming to comment.
You said you included those 5 conditions I read in, or
He
not?
is not. He is not, Doug.
Okay.
He said he is not. The only
No,
conditions he added.
We talked
Go along
about
with
the
4
connect
out of the 5.
between the two. Repeat what you just said, Doug.
Access road.
I'm talking about the access road.
Right.
Right, but the conditions Mujib is speaking of, and I'm speaking of too, are these.
And then we added that 50-foot on the side that Mr. Rosenberg promised the gentleman
Yeah,
here at the
this
meeting.
50-foot right here.
Yes.
This is phase 1, and then these are the conditions I suggested,
Oh.
council did approve it. Provide city with a copy of Fieldstone Phase 2 restricted covenants to ensure the language in there provides.
Yeah, I'm not having a problem with that.
Okay, those are 5 conditions as well.
Yes.
No,
Well,
no,
wait,
no.
Actually, no.
He did not,
If you,
his-
you, you,
they're
you
not
do
the
not,
5th
yeah.
one,
Not the fifth one.
not the 5th one.
Well, and
No,
I think it's
I
actually
said
the fourth
we're
one.
not doing that one.
Okay, so.
And then are you not doing the fourth?
So it's 1 through 3.
Yes. that's
1,
correct.
2, and so then you're amending your motion to include items 1, 2, and 3 on the conditions, as well as in the other 2 items that you added as well. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All
I'm
right,
going
I
to look
have
at
a
the
motion.
clerk, Mayor. Before you do that, I'm going to look at the clerk, make sure she got all 5. Thank you.
All right. I have a motion.
Okay, my second to Lynn's remains the same.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, the only issue that I have is, we have a fire chief, we have a police chief, and when they make a recommendation, I hate to go against what they recommend. However, in this case, if all the residents are good with not wanting that access road, then we'll certainly change my opinion or stance on this one time. But we have a fire chief who makes those decisions and determinations based on public safety, and I think that we should take those recommendations seriously.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Just a question about the safety. That's an issue with me, why we wouldn't have done another traffic study. Since the other one was done way back in 2007.
Her question, Doug, is traffic study. Why wasn't another one done? I believe you stated earlier that was because of the size of the subdivision being just 100 lots. Is that correct?
Right, it's 100 lots, and there's already a left turn lane and a right descent lane. I mean, the next step would be a stoplight, but, again, I'm not injured, but I don't think 100 lots would, and plus it'd end up being DOT's call to make whether it be a stoplight there or not, because it's DOT's
I
road.
understand that we get testimony from people living in the subdivisions about the traffic problems and the wrecks. I just wanted to note that is an issue.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Oh. All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? You get that, Ms. Bridges?
Yes, sir.
What was the count on that?
6 to 1.
6-1? Okay, that passed 6-1. Okay, item 19, zoning map amendment to rezone property on Wesley. I'm sorry, zoning map amendment, request zoning text amendments, overlay district.
Ready? Good evening. I'm Lisa Stywinner, Planning Director with the City of Monroe. I would like to bring before you a request to consider both a zoning map and zoning text amendment to establish Section 156-102E and 156-124E Concord Avenue Overlay District of the Unified Development Ordinance. Purpose of these amendments are to establish the Concord Avenue Overlay District in order to implement the relevant goals and objectives and recommendations of the Concord Avenue Master Plan that was adopted November 3rd, 2015. I'd like to orient you to the study boundary. Study boundary of the Concord Avenue District is highlighted in red. This is Concord Avenue, Seeker Shortcut, and 74, and then Skyway Drive. The Concord Avenue Master Plan began with the intention to collect, refine, communicate, and execute a vision. The master plan also included an action plan that provides a broad set of recommendations and provides additional detail in phasing, responsibilities, costs, funding sources. Action plan for the Concord Avenue Master Plan recommends the following action items. Short term, 2 to 5 years, incorporate design guidelines for the study area as part of the upcoming rewrite of the City of Monroe's Unified Development Ordinance. Establishment of the overlay district fulfills the above action item and serves as one of the most important implementation strategies for the Concord Avenue Master Plan. The City Council chooses to adopt the zoning map and zoning text amendment to establish the district. Staff will begin addressing other action items throughout the plan. One would be to establish a property acquisition program and to monitor key parcels within the study boundary. Planning staff, with the assistance of code-right planners, have drafted the development ordinance for the area within the proposed Concord Avenue Overlay District. The intent of the district is to improve safety aesthetics, promote private investment and redevelopment, create a suitable environment for pedestrian-oriented mixed-use development, provide greater residential housing choices, strengthen the city's economic base, and provide a clear and predictable set of review and design standards, procedures for the development in the district. As previously stated, we are here tonight to request approximately 200-something parcels within the Concord Avenue Master Plan study boundary to be rezoned. They have been divided into 4 sub-districts that we'll go over later in the presentation. Each sub-district has its own unique characteristics and design standards as well as allowable uses. Planning staff has also requested to amend the ordinance to establish the Concord Avenue Overlay District. This ordinance will provide the development requirements for the properties within this study area. Some of the sections with the draft ordinance include the table of allowable uses, dimensional requirements, parking requirements, signage, and non-conforming uses and architectural standards. Planning staff held an open public workshop in which every property owner and tenant was mailed an invitation. The purpose of the workshop was to discuss the proposed ordinances and rezoning as well as receive feedback from the public. That workshop was held in November at the Benton Heights Baptist Church. It was well attended with approximately 30-40 people throughout the evening to offer comments. Comments received during the public workshop were enthusiastic, motivating, and positive. I'd like to now turn it over to Chad Meadows. He's with Code-Right Planners. He's working currently on the rewrite of our Unified Development Ordinance and our zoning map. The overlay district was going to be drafted within that process, but we felt it was important to speed up since we just, the overlay district, since we just adopted the master plan. So I'll let him go over the overlay district. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. I'm Chad Meadows, 9 Blue Bottle Lane, Durham, North Carolina. I am principal of Code-Right Planners, and it is my pleasure to assist the city in updating your Unified Development Ordinance. I don't want to repeat what Lisa said, but I'll cover a few things with you. I'd like to talk a little bit about the plan, why the plan was done. I know you know that, a little bit of just a refresher for you, and then I'll talk about the overlay district draft that we've prepared and try to answer any questions that you have. Okay. As Lisa mentioned, we are assisting you with your zoning map and UDO update. I have been a professional planner for 16 years. I've drafted 18 development codes, including 5 that are currently underway in the state of North Carolina right now. The decision was made by us and staff to carry forward this part of your project because, frankly, synergy was there. You had just adopted the plan. At the time, there was great motivation to move forward with this. I will also say to you that this is an excellent microcosm. It's an opportunity for us to test the waters with respect to the larger project that's coming, which is your citywide Unified Development Ordinance rewrite and the associated zoning map amendments that come along with that. So this is an opportunity for us to kick the tires, to test our process and see how we might, what shortcomings we might find going through this and what successes we can build on going forward, okay? I am going to talk about the master plan and I'm going to talk about the overlay district. This is a slide taken from the master plan. Again, this was characterized as a revitalization initiative for this very important part of your city. The plan was completed in August of 2015, and you adopted it in November of 2015. We're talking about 136 acres of land area. It's a blend, single-family neighborhoods, commercial enterprises, and vacant land. And obviously, it's the area to the south of 74. Okay, the original study area was slightly larger. It was reduced in size as the plan moved forward. This is a photograph of the area. Study area characteristics. This is information printed on page 2.2 of the plan, and it identifies some of the concerns that the city had in the preparation of the plan, that the consultant had, that the public who participated in the plan at that time. Dead-end streets, lack of connectivity, roadway connectivity. You guys are no stranger to that issue. Lack of bike and pedestrian accommodations, underutilized retail buildings, no community core, no center for this neighborhood. Many residences in disrepair. Despite this, there's a surrounding series of neighborhoods that are stable and productive. And so how do we address this mismatch between our stable surrounding neighborhoods and this area to the inside that has some challenges? Okay. Again, that's directly from the plan. Okay. That was and is one of the deals that we're trying to address here. Obviously, Lisa mentioned the 6 goals. Here they are. First and foremost, increasing safety, public safety. Then, secondly, increasing property values. Additional housing options for the people who live here and the people who are coming to this community. A walkable environment and additional employment. These are the main master plan goals, the goals that informed us as we move forward with drafting the zoning ordinance. Okay? Key concepts to this plan. Kerr Street, re-envisioned as a mixed-use main street. Okay, that's the, do you guys have a pointer? Is there a pointer? Do you see the purple circle in the middle of your screen? That's Kerr Street. New roadway alignments and street connectivity. Those are identified by the little white circles. Pointer. Bear with me, guys, while I work on your technology. Little white circles on the map are additional roadways. You can see they connect through. New sidewalks throughout the area, again facilitating pedestrian movement. Retention of character along the boundaries, those gray circles to the west and the south. An inward focus, less reliance on US 74 visibility for, thank you very much. Awesome, okay. These are the roadway alignments, these white circles. This purple circle in the middle is the Kerr Street sort of main street area, the central focus of the community. These gray circles they depict the existing stable residential neighborhoods that are not expected to change in any way based on this project. Okay? Also, finally, more of an inward focus, at least with respect to some of this retail and some of this sort of non-residential development, focusing in towards the core instead of orienting towards 74. Okay, so those are some of the key concepts of the plan. This is the master plan page of the document. A couple of things to call your attention to. The building footprints are close to the street. These squares, the colored squares that you see on the screen, those are possible buildings, conceptual building placement and location. You'll note that by and large, these multifamily and non-residential buildings, non-residential are the commercial ones are red, the multifamily are sort of this brownish color. They're close to the street, all right? They're also somewhat uniform in their placement. They create continuous building walls along the street. That's an important attribute. Parking. Parking is located internal to the blocks. These sort of light tan colored areas that you see inside of the rings of buildings. These are conceptual or anticipated parking lots. By and large, in most cases, those parking lots are located internal to the site instead of between the building and the street that it faces, okay? There's a blend of residential uses, okay? We've got the existing single-family homes that are expected to remain. These are in great shape, and they're only expected to prosper from this additional development. Should it take place, some additional small lot, single family with detached garage style was envisioned in the plan, along with additional townhouses here and here. In this instance, these townhouses built around a common green. Also some multifamily, some either apartment or condominium, or they could be housing for seniors. That's the plan concept, a blend of residential, okay, in close proximity. All of this is focused on creating a more vibrant community, one where people walk, where there's things to walk to, and places to walk from your home to places to shop or to recreate or to work, okay? That's from the master plan. This was our guidance moving forward with respect to the zoning ordinance. The implementation strategy. The plan offered three possibilities for the city's consideration. The first being a passive approach. In other words, let's adopt the plan and do nothing else, and we'll let the development community move forward into this area as appropriate. That was an option that was put on the table. The second option was referred to as the intentional solution. That's one step beyond the passive approach. The intentional approach was twofold. One, adopt the plan, which you've done. Two, revise the zoning, okay? Rezone the land to a new zoning designation. So that's why we're here, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about. That was your sort of second, door number two, if you will, of the three doors you had available to you. The third, and I believe the one that the city selected, was the proactive, okay? Which included adoption of the plan, right, which you've done, the new zoning ordinance, which we're talking about tonight, and then a series of redevelopment interventions, whether those are public-private partnerships, whether that's investment, whether that's acting as a master developer, what have you. We're not sure about that yet. That's stuff to be decided as we go forward. Ultimately, the city made the decision upon adoption of this plan to take the proactive approach. Okay, and I think that was the wise way to go, given the things that are called for in this plan. In particular, there's a fairly substantial change to the existing street network in this area. Okay, there's some new streets. There's some closing of existing streets. It's done for very good reasons. It's done to create buildable blocks that create high-value buildings, that create a walkable environment, that support mixed use. Okay, but the city is going to need to step in and assist that process as it unfolds. That'll be a very important part of what you're doing here. You've adopted the plan, you're considering adopting zoning, and those are good things. That will not be enough alone to make the kind of change that this plan envisions, that the city envisions through the adoption of this plan. All right, so I just want to lay that marker down for you. We're here talking about the zoning. That's an important part. If we adopt the zoning, will the world change and suddenly this area will bloom into what's envisioned? Probably not. There's probably more work that needs to be done. Can you do that work without zoning? No. You're not going to be able to get there without doing the zoning changes. Whether you do the changes that we're suggesting tonight, whether you do changes that we revise, you're going to need to make some adjustment to the zoning that's out there to facilitate this kind of development, all right? For two reasons. One, your current regulations, by and large, don't allow what's envisioned in the plan. And two, you need to send a message to the development community. We, development community, the city of Monroe is welcome. We want you to come. We want you to make some proposals. We want to see this area turn around. Not that it's a bad area, but we'd like to see it be better. Okay? So, with that, let's talk a little bit about the downtown master plan. I hold this up because it's a great example of what you've already done, right? You had a plan, you had an important part of the community, you adopted a plan, and you've had success. You've had more apartments, you've had more civic uses, you've had crosswalks, you've had neighborhood greens. All of these things have been put in, right? And this has happened since '08. And that's great, and that's a success, and that's how it's supposed to work. Here's the deal, right? Downtown, you're the county seat. You got a lot of employment. There's a lot of commercial that's already here, okay? And that's great. That kind of thing supports the redevelopment activities that you're seeing. Unfortunately, Concord Avenue doesn't have all of the same benefits or the same perks that downtown has. It doesn't have the employment. It doesn't have the same level of commercial activity. So we have to work a little bit harder there to realize the kind of success that we've seen in the downtown. Okay? So I just want to make that point to you as we move forward. Okay. The Concord Avenue Overlay District, what we're calling the CAO district. It's a new zoning overlay district. We're suggesting that it be applied proactively by the city. In other words, you step in and you rezone the land, okay, proactively. The overlay district has a variety of standards in it that deal with or try to result in the plan configuration that's envisioned. Changes to streets, changes to how buildings are oriented, a broader range of uses than are currently allowed, the mixing of uses, more pedestrian focus, and more flexibility. More flexibility on the part of your staff to review and help facilitate projects to happen in the area. Okay? I'm sure you're all aware of the problems that a lot of developers have when it comes to existing developed areas that were maybe developed before zoning was put in place. Okay, they've got to come in and make changes to setbacks, or they've got to come in and make changes to particular standards so that the development works. That takes time, it takes money, and it's not predictable. Those are three of the big hurdles for the kind of redevelopment that you guys want to facilitate in this area. So it's important that we have additional flexibility, not a ton, and we're not just throwing the doors open and saying, hey, come on, bring it on in, whatever it is. We're just adding, quote unquote, the right amount of flexibility to the standards to create some efficiencies, okay? This area, or these standards, are suggested to be new section 156 of your zoning code, okay? A couple things to note. One, while this is treated as an overlay zoning district, okay, it overrides the base zoning district designations that are in place, both in terms of more restrictive standards and in terms of more flexibility. Okay, so this overlay rides atop the base zoning districts. Okay, if it has more restrictive standards than the base zoning districts, the overlay controls. If, on the other hand, and there are some instances where the overlay district is going to be more flexible than the base zoning district, it's going to allow a different style of development than the current base zoning districts allow. Okay, these regulations are structured so that that greater flexibility overrides the base zoning district. Okay, so our intent here is to facilitate the kind of development envisioned by the plan. Where that needs more restriction, we'll advocate for more restriction. Where it calls for more flexibility, we'll want more flexibility, okay? If there is any existing conditional zoning in place in the area, those conditions of approval remain in place, all right? Even though we're proactively rezoning the land, those existing conditions will remain in place until the land is redeveloped, at which point those conditions would no longer apply, okay?
Question.
Yes, sir.
Let's say business has been in business on Concord Avenue for 25, 30 years. What does that do? How does that affect them?
Well, first off, the question is, are they non-conforming or not? Are they allowed under the new regulations or not, right? That's a very important question.
Let's say they wasn't.
Let's say they're not allowed. So we've got an existing use in place that's been there for 30 years. We're now introducing zoning that's not going to allow that use anymore. What happens, right? They're considered a non-conforming development, which means they can stay, okay? It means they can repair, they can maintain. Now, there are some additional standards with respect to abandonment and with respect to what happens if that building is damaged or destroyed that are more aggressive, okay, in terms of moving that non-conforming business out than your current standards. And I can cover it now, or I can come to it at the back end of the presentation, which is when we want to talk about nonconformities. You're just ahead of me, that's all. You're just smarter than I am. Basically, the idea here is we don't want to push these people out. On the other hand, the city took an affirmative act. You took a stance and said, we're going to adopt this plan. And this plan has this vision. And this plan says we need to have zoning associated with it. So now we're moving forward with the zoning. By doing that...
Councilmember Keziah, just to make absolutely clear, that business has been there 30 years, will be able to stay.
That's correct. It will be able to stay.
To cut to the chase, exactly the answer you were looking for.
They can stay, they can repair, they can maintain. Okay?
What if the street is now proposed to go to
What is, how do you?
Well, it's,
Let's
Mayor,
let's go ahead with the presentation, then we'll get questions. Okay?
Okay.
Please.
Keep your
It's a good
questions
question.
for later, is what I think the mayor is saying.
Variety of key sections. I'm going to touch on these very, very quickly. I know there's a lot of people here who want to ask questions. I'm not going to go through this in great detail. I will just say that this ordinance is structured to be a complete ordinance in that it has all of the uses, all of the various development standards, the infrastructure provisions, and the definitions associated with this district. Okay? When we get to changing your zoning ordinance, which we're working on, this information will be folded into the new structure that we're preparing, okay? Basically, you've seen I've talked about the purpose and intent. We want public safety, we want to promote investment, okay? We want to create walkable places. It applies within the boundary. If you're doing a minor addition or a minor renovation or a change in use, you do not have to follow the regulations, okay? Everybody understand? Minor addition, less than 25% of the floor area, you don't have to comply with the regulations. That doesn't deal with nonconformities, that's if you are allowed. If you're doing a minor renovation, less than 25% of the value of the structure, do you have to comply? No, you do not, okay? Changes in use are exempted from the dimensional standards because the building's already there. But if there are other site-related standards, they have to apply, okay? Lisa mentioned 4 sub-districts. They are shown on your screen. The location of these sub-districts are given to us by the master plan. We did make some adjustments in some of the boundaries based on the public meetings that were conducted in November. Basically, you have an orange area. This is sub-district A. It is primarily focused on residential use. There is a blue sort of area adjacent to the yellow. This is sub-district B. This is mixed use. So you can do office, you can do residential, you can do limited forms of commercial in these areas. There is a purple area. This is sub-district D. This is the Kerr Street, sort of Main Street focus area of the community. And then finally, a sub-district C area, which is focused primarily on commercial and or accommodation kinds of uses. Okay? 4 sub-districts, each with different standards. Okay? One quick note for you. Perimeter boundaries, only modified by the city. I can't come in and say, please extend the CAO district to pick me up. Why? Because it wasn't in the plan. Also, I can't come to you and initiate an application to be taken out of the CAO district. City Council can initiate that application. Planning Board can initiate that application. Property owner cannot. Sub-district boundary changes can be requested by an applicant or a landowner. Okay? I mentioned flexibility a second ago. The planning director, under these standards, would be allowed to modify any numerical standard by up to 10%. A numerical standard might be a setback, or another dimensional requirement, or an amount of landscaping, or a number of parking spaces, or building height, or lot coverage limitation, etc. If there's a numerical standard, the planning director is empowered to modify that by up to 10%, based on a series of 5 criteria that are set down in the ordinance, okay? 10% is not a great number. Usually, you're talking about a setback change of a foot or so, okay? The district sets out a variety of allowable uses. The use types vary by sub-district. This is a graphic that is just a portion of the use table. A couple of things that I want to call your attention to that you should be aware of. Where uses are permitted, there is a Z, okay? A Z in the column. So in sub-district B, you could have a personal service use of varying square footage. Note that some cells have dots. Those are prohibited uses. So we are suggesting for your consideration that industrial uses inside the CAO not be permitted. In other words, existing industrial uses that exist today would become non-conforming. Would they have to go? No, they could stay. Could they redevelop? No. Could they maintain? Yes. But they could not redevelop because they're not allowed. Now, we've put this out as a suggestion based on the master plan that's been adopted. The master plan does not anticipate industrial use in this area. Okay, this was intended to be a mixed-use, pedestrian-oriented, residential living, shopping, recreating area, not necessarily an industrial area. Okay, so I just want to raise that point with you, okay? Dimensional requirements. By and large, we're talking about smaller lot sizes in this community, okay? We're talking about higher lot coverages than exists today, okay? So if you own property here and you're not beneath a street, then your development potential is going to increase, okay? Because you're allowed to have a smaller lot, you're allowed to have greater lot coverage, and the density is higher than what you currently allow, all right? With that said, there are some other things that need to be kept in mind. You remember the buildings being built up to the street? Do you remember that graphic where I showed the buildings that were close to the street? That's out of the master plan. A couple of our sub-districts, B and D, you've got to build the buildings up to the street. There's not a minimum setback. There's a maximum setback. Okay, in other words, you must be close to the street. All right? Sub-area D, that's the Kerr Street, Main Street, has a couple of provisions in it that are designed to make it function more like a main street. And those two things are, one, a minimum building height of 2 stories. Okay, so if you build a new building on New Kerr Street, it's got to be 2 stories tall or taller. The other thing is, got to have a minimum residential density. Okay, so every lot on Kerr Street has a minimum residential density of 4 units an acre. All right? Thinking behind that is we wanted to create a main street. And again, this isn't code right telling you this. This is what's in the plan. So we're suggesting this be carried forward, and this is the tool that you would use to implement that. There are also some minimum open space set-aside percentages inside this area. Okay? But we've put in a couple of things to help sort of make that easier. One is a payment in lieu system. An applicant can come and suggest a payment in lieu instead of providing the open space. We also give credit for wider sidewalks and wider pedestrian features as open space. Okay? Again, sort of reemphasizing this idea of a pedestrian orientation. There's a variety of of development standards, including parking, landscaping, lighting, screening, etc. By and large, these standards have been updated for more modern times. I'm happy to go into, if you have specific questions about any of these, I'll be glad to cover that. But I think one of the things that is important for us to talk about is infrastructure. I mentioned at the head of the presentation that this plan contemplates some significant changes in the street infrastructure. The black lines that you see on the map are new streets, okay, overlaid atop the existing parcels and existing streets, all right? So there's some considerable changes in street alignment. Some of the platted streets need to be closed and reverted back to development. New streets are going to need to be constructed, and that's going to require some significant upfront work by the city to address property acquisition, to address property transfer, okay? The This is a slightly more modified map. It's not as easy to see the black lines, but note that there are colored lines on this map. These show the street rights of way. It's been prepared by the city's engineering department, so it shows the proper street telemetry, etc. These are where streets would go in this configuration, in this master plan effort. Now, the standards require new development to dedicate the right-of-way and to construct the streets. Okay? Sidewalks are required on both sides of all streets. They're supposed to be 10 feet along Kerr Street. Bike lanes are required along Concord Avenue and Skyway Drive. All utilities are located underground. And again, there is a fee in lieu that can be requested by an applicant for dedication, for construction, for sidewalks, curb and gutter. All that stuff is open for someone to request a payment in lieu. It's up to you to decide whether or not you wish to grant that. Okay? Someone might ask for a payment in lieu if they're in the middle of the construction process, or if there are no sidewalks in place in their particular location at the time, or it's more economical for the city to do a street widening or a street project like curb and gutter all at once instead of little pieces. So there's a variety of reasons why you would want to entertain a payment in lieu system. We've incorporated that for your use should you need it. Okay? Nonconformities. These are the buildings that exist. They've done nothing wrong. They're well maintained. However, they're not consistent with the adopted vision for this area. So what do we do with them? Well, they can remain. Maintenance, repair, and sale is allowed. There's no expansion allowed. Okay, so you can't expand that existing non-conforming use. I couldn't come in and make my building bigger. Could I make my building smaller? Yeah. I could always reduce the nonconformity. Okay? If my building closes for 90 days or more, it's considered to be abandoned. When abandonment happens, I'm not allowed to reestablish the nonconforming use. Okay? I believe your current standards set your abandonment phase at 180 days. Is that right? Your abandonment is 180?
Yes.
We've cut it in half. And the reason we've cut it in half is we're trying to make forward motion in moving forward in this part of the city. Do you have to have 90 days? No. You could go with 180. Sure, no problem. We're suggesting a 90-day threshold. Also, a casualty damage threshold of 35%. It's typical to see those thresholds at 50%. And what that means is, if for some reason, through no act of my own, my non-conforming building, my non-conforming use is damaged, can I replace it? The answer is yes, if the damage threshold is 35% or less of the structure's value at the time of the incident. If it's more than 35%, then you may not repair. Okay, so that's the casualty damage threshold. If you sustain damage in excess of 35% of the structure's value, the standards would not allow you to reestablish that nonconforming use. Okay. Do you have to have 35%? Nope. Could you go with 50? Yep, you could. The question is, what stance does the city want to take with respect to these existing nonconformities? Okay. Lisa already talked about the process. We held a public workshop in November. It was well attended. A lot of people had great questions. And I'm glad to see people here tonight. I'm sure that there'll be numerous questions. I'll say in closing that this was carrying forward or working to implement your existing adopted plan. We are certainly willing and open to adjustment to these standards if you believe they're necessary. Happy to talk about other ways to build the mousetrap if that's more consistent with the direction that you want to take. We feel like these are legally defensible. We feel like they're consistent with other communities who have undertaken these kinds of redevelopment activities. I will note for you and applaud you in the stance that you've taken. This is a major step forward. This is an important project. It's an important area, and I understand that this is a little bit different than what you guys might usually do, and that's okay. And we're here to configure these standards as necessary so that you're comfortable, but that so we also implement the plan that you adopted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Council, questions?
I just want to say one thing, that this was presented to planning board. They did recommend approval of the project, and we'll be happy to answer questions.
Council, questions? Well, I'm all for improving any neighborhood, any part of the city of Monroe. But the part I don't like about it is the existing business we got. I don't know of one of them that don't look great. Maybe something I'm not thinking about, so I don't know of one. I don't want to zone something in to zone something out. I mean, to me, that's not the right way to do it. I know they got some protection here and some a little bit over there, but some of them have been there, if not all of them, been there for years, and more than that. And I don't see where I want to go in and cause those folks a problem to try to fix something we ain't even got yet. So I don't know if that makes any sense to you or not, but if we can get around something without putting pressure on the existing people we got, I don't have a problem with it. And I want to do something in this area. I just want us to work it out. Any other questions? Any other comments?
Public hearing.
I'll be with you in just a minute. Okay. I have some folks signed up. If you're not signed up, I'll still get to you. I'll take them as it's signed up. Is that Robert Inslee?
Yes.
Pedro Street. Sir, if you'd like to speak, we recognize you at this time. If you'll come to the podium.
I'd rather not say anything right now. I'm not really up to speed. I might want to just get the.
Okay, very good.
Plan. Thank you.
I just wanted to recognize you had signed up. Is that Devon of 1610 Concord Avenue, is that? 1610 Concord Avenue?
I'm just listening.
You good, sir? All right, Mr. Randy Bates, we recognize you at this time, sir.
My name is Randy Bates, B-A-T-E-S, and my address is actually 329 North Civitas. I'll spell that C-I-V-I-T-A-S Street, and that's in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. But I've been in this area since a kid and moved down there. We own, and I've marked on this, I don't think you can see it, we own the edge there, funky looking bigger piece. Oh, perfect. We own this piece right there. And right now it's zoned conditional district, and is that correct? Conditional district, and it is for bigger commercial uses. It was done in 2007 before, unfortunately, the economy kind of fell apart on us. And right now, to be completely transparent, we have someone that wants to buy our property, and they want to buy it because of the use that it will be changed to encompasses the sub-district A, I believe it is, yeah, sub-district A. And so with that in mind, we are in support of this, and I think I emailed everyone. I don't know if you all received it, so that email's from me. Don't really have much to add, but if you want to ask me a question or anything about it, I'm more than willing. I can't tell you the name of the people because they told me to have confidentiality, but other than that, I can answer any questions you might have for me about it.
Any questions, Mr. Bates? Hear none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor? If you would come to the podium, please. Give us your name and address for our record. If we would ask you, each of you, if you would hold it to 3 minutes or less, please.
My name is Marilyn Bowden, and I live at 305 King Street. I have a fear of driving, so I do walk the streets in that area, and they don't have sidewalks, and a lot of people speed through there, and I fear when I do walk those streets, and I do go to local areas like the eye doctor and some local restaurants. I can't walk to the mall because there ain't sidewalks for me to walk on. I am, from New York City, so I'm used to walking sidewalks to go to stores and shopping and stuff like that. And when you come off of 74 on Concord Avenue, it isn't welcoming to come to the, Monroe City. It looks abandoned, deserted. It looks unsafe. There's not many bright lightings around the neighborhood.
Yes, ma'am.
On Concord Avenue, coming off of 74. And Skyway as well. There's not many stores around. businesses, you know, like for people to go to and welcome and sit down and enjoy themselves, like downtown that they're building up now. I would like to see the beginning of Monroe from 74 to look like what this man is showing here on the screen and make Monroe better and welcoming. I would like to see it grow. And I'm not planning on leaving. And I hope my street, King Street, that is on the line on this map that he shows is not going anywhere. And as well as the homes that are there are a lot of abandoned homes in the area. And there's also some people who are renting homes, not caring who they're renting to. And these homes, there's people parked on their grass, not caring how they're taking care of the land. So I would like to see developments like he's shown, apartments, you know, and people who are caring for their property, because it's looking terrible when you see furniture out in the yard and stuff like that, or just dogs out in the front lawn and stuff like that. Like some lords are not keeping up with their homes, and I would just like to see, you know, like behind Monroe Mall, those are types of apartments that people are renting. 305 King Street.
305, okay.
And that's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to speak in favor? If you will, come to the podium, please. Name and address and for the record, sir.
Well, I'm David Craig, and I represent Carolina Pest Management. I've been there 35 years. We employ about 35 people. My only concern is what, I didn't go to the other meeting, but, you know, Carolina Pest has been there forever. I think it's been there over 50 years. They've been in business 75 years. The only thing is we're a growing business, and if we can't add on to our business, we can't add on to employees. So that's my concern there. And we live on the corner of Pedro Street and Concord there, and our biggest thing is the crime there. I mean, we get broke into 3 or 4 times a year. We got to where we don't even call the police anymore, but we just fix the fence, because we've done everything we can do to put the fence up, put barbed wire on top. This is what the police are telling us. But I think that needs to be addressed first. And I got some rental property in this neighborhood, and it's a great neighborhood. A lot of the older people have moved out, you know, and like the lady said, the rentals have kind of gone downhill. And we, as the city of Monroe, I know has ordinance about cars on the grass and lawn furniture or whatever in the thing, but I don't think it's brought up to code enough to do that. I mean, I don't think the codes are enforced enough, and I'm all for this development on don't get me wrong, I got these couple of things that I'm concerned about. My other thing is about the sidewalks. Like I said, our business is right on, I mean, it's on the street. If we come in with sidewalks and it's going to take the parking out of the front, the signs out, all that stuff, that would be something else I would be concerned about too. And then if you go down Pedro Street, you're going to take out half the warehouse. So I don't know. That's the kind of questions that I have.
Okay, Mr. Gregg.
All right,
Any questions, Mr. Gregg? Thank you, sir. Anyone else who'd like to speak in favor? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I was born on Concord Avenue, and I still have property there, and I would just love to be around to see this redevelopment take place. Thank you.
Would you give us your name and address for the record?
Yes, it's out on the book.
I'm sorry?
Yes,
You had it on the books, you said, but.
What number Concord Avenue is?
1700 Concord Avenue, Martha Morrison.
Martha Morrison. 1700 Concord Avenue. Okay.
I don't have the paperwork. You may have signed up, but I don't have, but that's okay. That's quite all right. We got you. But thank you for your comment.
You're welcome.
anyone else who would like to speak in favor? Here, none. Is anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? Sir, I believe you had a question earlier. I'd recognize you at this time, sir.
It's Mike Nelson from Monroe Body Repair.
Yes, sir, Mike.
It's 1522 Concord Avenue. I'm just curious about the, you know, he said if you were an existing business, you'd be able to stay. And I know there's road changes going to be made, and some of those businesses that are existing are going to be affected by those roads. So I'd like an answer to that so we can get some idea about, you know, are they going to design the roads to go around the businesses, or are the businesses going to actually have to leave, which is probably what will happen.
Sorry. I swear if you show me what to do, you won't have to get up again. Okay, so RGB1? Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. It's a great question. And frankly, it's probably the single hardest part of implementing this plan, is how do we get the roadway system that's envisioned on the ground in this community, right? And it's going to take the leadership of the city to do that, okay? Because you're the one who are in the position to go out there and vacate the existing platted streets, which will need to happen in a few instances, okay? You are the ones that can go out and build new streets, which is called for in numerous places. As with any similar kind of development, it's most often found that when a street is put in, you buy the land. Okay, that's part of the process. Now, there are several rights of way that are going to change that will create land that is not currently available for development today. There will be land that's under asphalt now that'll be available for development in the future. All right, so there is some resource that's available to the community with respect to that land. By the same token, according to the plan that's adopted, there are some changes in the roadway systems, changes, and that will necessitate some changes in property lines. And it may, in fact, impact existing buildings that might be located within a road right of way. And what do? Well, ultimately, if you decide that you want to adopt the plan and you want to go forward with the zoning, those buildings need to go. That's part and parcel of the plan. Or you could decide, I don't want to have connected streets, or I don't want to follow the street grid pattern that's anticipated in the plan that we adopted. And that's certainly okay too. That's, you know, your, that's a decision that you can make. This isn't anything that we're suggesting. This is what's in the plan. We think it makes sense. We do think it's bold. You know, you guys have stepped out and said, we care enough about our community, we care enough about this area to make these changes and put our money where our mouth is with respect to these roadways. And yeah, there's probably going to be some changes in property lines. There's probably going to be some impacted buildings. And, you know, part of this effort is going to be making sure that those property owners are made whole through the process. That's part of it. The benefit that accrues to the city is that you've got this new area that's creating ad valorem in ways that aren't happening now. So that's the answer, I think. You have two choices. One is don't put the road in. Three choices. Don't put the road in, change the location of the road, or move the building. I believe the city's engineering department put this street telemetry together based on engineering practices. They think this is what will work. By and large, and I'll note for you that we did make some adjustments to the street locations from what's in the plan to try to address some of the idiosyncrasies with respect to lotting patterns. If you look at those lots, there's a lot of kind of weird shapes and things that will be created as these streets go in. That will need to be something that's adjusted. You'll need to create buildable lots as part of this project, okay? And there will be some acquisition that's necessary. That's just going to be part of it if you decide to move forward.
Okay. Anyone else here who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and take action. question, comment from the council?
Mayor, one point I would need to make is if council chooses to approve the ordinance, you would also do this as approval because it is a zoning amendment. You would have a resolution that we do not have. What we will do is complete that for you and have it available tomorrow. But that the approval would include a resolution that would say that the ordinance that you're adopting is consistent with the adopted land development plan because you have adopted the area plan back last year. And that would be what would you need to make, and then you'd say that resolution, and then you take action on the ordinance as well. If the council's decision is to approve this.
Okay.
Well,
Any
I
other
think-
questions,
yes,
comment?
I have a comment.
Yes,
I think this is very nice, looks good, sounds good, but I have a really hard time with telling this man right here that we're gonna put a street right through his business, or telling another person that owns the pest company that we're going to, put a street through his business and, you know, he can move. That's the options.
What I was saying earlier, I'm for doing what's right, but first, been there 10 years, 20 years, 34, someone's been there all their life over there. And of course, I know we can change the streets, we can change the sidewalk as we go. You know, I don't know how the vote's gonna go, but I hope if we do vote it, you know, let's look after the folks that we got over and work with them. You know, and we usually try to do that as a city. I'm not saying that we don't, but I just wanna iterate, we've got people been there for years, and I'm not gonna put a street down through their building. If we could run it around, change the street out, or just drop the street off. I think we can do it by working with what we got over there, and they working with us. I think it can be accomplished. So that's where I'm at.
Mayor, I think we can say, and I'll defer to Code Right and the Planning Department, the approval of this does not call for relocation of streets. It's just that streets may be relocated, but the map amendments and the overlay district itself do not relocate the streets. That would be separate actions that would be taken by council at a later time if you chose to do that, and you could make a decision to not do that. Is that
You know, I can see putting sidewalks, I can see cleaning up the Kerr Street area without question. But I got a real hard time looking at that map or that drawing up there of two-story buildings, retail on the bottom, apartments on top. I've always been understanding that retail has to have shoppers. Where are the shoppers?
Monroe City Council for Harris Theater.
Go back to your drawing over there. That's a good-looking drawing.
Thank you. The plan that was adopted by the city had a market study associated with it. The market study indicated that retail on the ground floor with residential above could be supported along Kerr Street. Code Right did not draft that plan. Okay, we are here to introduce a zoning mechanism for you to implement that plan.
You know, that street goes to a dead end. Then it turns right and comes back into Pedro Street. I just can't fathom somebody going in there and putting major money into a development that goes to a dead end, turns around and goes into Pedro Street. I don't understand it.
And according to that, you got two streets that's coming in the picture.
Well, I'm for cleaning up and I'm for doing certain things, but, you know, people that's been in business there for a long, long time, I just can't see a portion of that.
I can see the plan. I think this is an important area, an important plan, one that we've already adopted. And I see that there may be some room to take in consideration those businesses that have been in for a long time, whether it means redrawing or whatever. But I think it's important for Monroe, especially since it is a gateway, and it is horrible looking. And in the vision to improve Monroe and to be proactive, I'm on for it.
Just to clarify, the city attorney is absolutely right. Before you today is the adoption of the zoning district boundaries. The roadways we chose to show you because we thought it was important that you understand the ramifications of those roadways as part of this development. Do you need to put the roadways where the plans show them? No. Do you need to include all the roadways that the plan shows? No, you don't. Those are decisions that you can make later.
That's what I was really trying to say a while ago, Nick, you said right. We could change it or work with or whatever and make it, if we adopt the plan and make it work. I think we could take anything and make it work, without really messing up the whole plan and still take care of our folks, et cetera.
And the street network will only be able to happen as funding becomes available.
I know, that's gonna be, we're not talking about next week, we're talking about sometime down the road.
Well, I will not vote for anything till I know what I'm voting for.
Okay.
Well, Mayor, I'd like to make this comment.
Well, yeah.
This plan, and in respect to the Meltons, who I know, and I grew up in this community. I know it well. Let's all drop back and punt for just a second and realize that this plan, as we're seeing here tonight, didn't start yesterday. I wasn't even on council. I mean, 20 years or more ago, a director of planning and a councilman formed a committee to study this area. It had to be over 20 years ago. I don't even know how. All I know is that when we started this process, which has now been going on, for a long time again, and we had these stakeholder meetings and community members to come in, and we had many of them to look us in the eye and say, when's this thing going to happen? Y'all been talking about this for 20 years. Nothing's happened. It's being done to revitalize an area, as some of them have said, that we feel like needs to be revitalized. It truly is a gateway to our community. We want it to look better. Now, but do keep in mind that it's a concept. These pictures of these buildings that you're seeing on may never exist. Sadly. They might not. I hate it. I'd love to think that they would. But I know they won't in my lifetime. What we're talking about here now is a plan. We've got to have ordinances and zoning in place to make the plan work. It's just another phase in this plan. Nothing is going to happen tomorrow. No business is going to be Carolina Pest. I mean, you're not going anywhere. Nothing's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, we'll all be dead and gone before you had to move your building. And if you had to move your building to make this plan work 20 or 30 years from now, there's probably another suitable location, quite frankly. But is there going to be a little pain? Yeah. But to affect change, you got to have a little pain in the case. And it's not the kind of change that's going to happen tomorrow, though. And will this plan, which is on paper now, turn out to be exactly like it's on this plan? The answer is no. Will we have to, as a council, be here to talk about change to this plan? Probably. None of us will even be here. But it's a way to say, we've got a gateway to our city. We don't like the way it looks now. We'd like to change it. We want to make it better. And you got to have a plan. And we've already approved the plan. So that's a foregone fact. And now we're just talking about agreeing to this zoning issues in order to put a little meat to the plan. So I'm all for it. I own property in this area. And I'm not for it just for that reason, but I'm really for that reason for it because I was born and raised in this property, and I rode my bicycle to school on these streets, and I love the way it looked then, and I want it to look even better in the future. So I'm going to make the recommendation that we approve this plan for development and for the overlay district established as 156-124E, I guess it is.
And that's second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion with council?
The only other thing I would ask is that you amend, as a part of your approval, ask that note the consistency statement and that it's consistent with the rezone, that this is consistent with the adopted plan, and that that's consistent with the adopted land use plan.
Yeah, in the Concord Avenue overlay district.
Yes, sir.
I knew the attorney would have something that needed to be added to what I said. That doesn't bother me, and so I'll recognize that as well.
And the second includes whatever necessary language.
Right.
I've had my moment. The code right folks said I was absolutely correct, so that's good. It's up to you.
Okay. I'm gonna hear you. I have a motion and a second. I have a gentleman raise his hand. I recognize you. You have something, sir?
My name's Howard Andrew, and I wasn't gonna say anything, but if this plan is adopted, which I'm for, okay, is it set in concrete, or is it in an arena where some changes could be made as far as roads? Because I'm in agreement with Mike here. I have property on Carr Street. If you put a sidewalk in, it's gonna take the front porch off of one of them. So I just wonder if, if this is set in concrete, or if at some future date, you could adjust the plan to a degree.
Well, I'll answer that the best I can, and maybe somebody answers it better. This plan, it can be moved, adjusted, or whatever when it's developed. And that's what I was talking about a while ago, and I think it's been said. This is not exactly in concrete exactly, am I correct? I mean, we can change it as we move.
Yeah, two things. One, the street network, these are just proposed streets.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
They're not designed, they're not in specific locations. So the design of the streets, when funding becomes available, will still have to be done.
Right.
As far as the ordinance requirements, we're getting ready. Even though these ordinance requirements have been drafted, are there things that are going to need to be tweaked and revised? Yes, there will be, just like they are with any ordinance. We're getting ready to go through the rewrite of our whole Unified Development Ordinance. So as Mr. Meadows said with Code Right, this is a good test to see what is working, what's not working, and as we go, there could be future text amendments with it, as with any ordinance.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any discussion with the council? Hearing none, I have a motion and a second.
You have another individual has a question. It's up to you, Mayor, if you wish to.
I'll take one more.
So I have worked for my family's real estate business, and we are on the corner of 74 and Concord Avenue, and all day long, people come from Wilkes Drive over the bridge and back and forth, and it's a big problem. There's riffraff and major issues on Wilkes Drive. My first question is, do you have any plans to improve the concerns there? The second thing is, this is my mom, Mary Ross. She owns the business, and she and my dad grew up in Benton Heights, and we love Monroe. I feel like Mr. Gordon knows about this area, but we would definitely like to see it improve. Small things like, we're trying our best here to keep the landscaping, the building looking sharp. We deal with our neighbors' loose chickens that are coming into our parking lot every day. Our customers are sitting in our conference room with wild chickens running around in our parking lot. We called the city 2 or 3 times about it, and nothing's been done. So, our neighbor has tall grass, and his yard is full of vehicles and trash and couches, and I could just go on and on. So there's ways to improve it without this that would make a drastic change for the Smalls and Ross and Associates. I'll also say that, I feel very an idea that I've been in real estate 26 years. You go into an area like Hilton Head, and the commercial buildings all have the same facial design. The landscaping can really improve the look. Maybe if you don't move Carolina termite, but all of our commercial buildings have the same facial design and match. You do things to the landscaping. Those are just ideas to pass along.
Okay, thank you. What is your phone number that you can be reached at, please?
Yes, it's Mary Ross, Ross and Associates, 704-289-3694.
Thank you very much. All right?
One more question. Freddie, I'll support that if you'll make sure you put in your motion that this particular drone is not in concrete.
I'm not sure the concrete's a word I would use in any motion, because I've never seen one that was set in concrete and one that we didn't tweak. And as I say again, I'm certain that's true with this. You know, I feel very comfortable that what we've done over again, I state, a long time. I mean, for over 20 years we've been talking about this, so that gives you some idea. And so I'm certain, I'm confident in my own mind that what I've made the motion for here is something that is for the betterment of the city of Monroe, and you know, and I have total confidence in our staff and in future councils to make those right decisions. Right.
Mayor, I think I can answer, I think the question Councilmember Keziah is asking is this in concrete? And the answer is, I think you've heard, no, it's not. It can be adjusted by later councils. And it is, you know, it just as you amend the zoning map, anytime you do a rezoning, you are able to amend this at any point in time if you feel that is appropriate. You do that, or future councils do that as well.
All right. I have a motion and I have a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Who opposed? 6-1. That is correct. And one opposed. Did I get that right?
I don't know, Mayor. I think that it's not clear, and I think because it's a zoning amendment, we need to be absolutely clear. So
right.
If you could just go ahead and call the ayes and ask the hands to be.
And I have a question, and because the issue is that Lynn was saying to make sure that this wasn't in concrete, and you're saying it wasn't in concrete, so we want to make sure, and I understand where he's coming from, we want to make sure that on down the road that somebody doesn't come and put a road through Mr. Milton's property or do something with Carolina Pest. I mean, that's the issue. We want to make sure that the businesses that we have are protected. And I also agree that we do need to look at some issues that are going on there with the chickens and other things, and that's something that we're certainly taking note of.
We'll take care of that.
We're going to take note of that and see what we can do to alleviate that. But we also, what we want to do, this all sounds great, but what we want to make sure is that we protect our business owners, that they've been there for 50 years, he's been there for a long time, now all of a sudden we're going to say, oh, well, we're going to put this through here and you can't make your business any bigger. So I understand all that, but we've got to have a plan where it doesn't say that we're going to put these roads. We're looking at this plan right now and we see these roads up here. We want to make sure that these roads aren't going to be put where this map is. So he's asking, is this going to be in concrete? If it's not, then we can certainly, I'm sure that's going to change your mind, right, Lynn?
Yeah.
So that's all he's asking. So we're making this harder than what it really is.
We are.
So
We
let's just
certainly
say,
are.
this is a good plan.
There's no
This is a
question
good
about
plan.
that.
We're gonna go, we'll go ahead and approve it, but it's not set in stone. This can be changed. And if you do that, then, you know, we're
Perhaps a
good.
point of clarification, this is only zoning, the plan is separate. So the picture up there is outlining a plan, but what's being presented to city council is a zoning decision.
Only. It's a zoning map amendment. It is, you are creating an overlay district. So it's a little more than, you have a plan that's been approved by council.
All right.
This is overlay.
Take a vote again, if you will. Raise your hand. All in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Looks like, okay, you got that, Ms. Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That will pass. The zoning map will pass. Okay. Item 20.
That was.
That was 20. Item 21, proposed action plan for community development.
Who's pointer?
Ms. Ross.
Using the same one that we.
Have someone
He said he
contact
put it
you.
on he said he put it up on that one.
Okay, very good.
It's not there then. Go to it.
Don't worry, we won't let them put a street through your place.
Go to where your plans are.
Did you change it?
Yeah, it'll say TVC on it.
But where did you put it?
It's in the same place that you had
Staff
it.
report?
Yeah, same place you had it.
It may end you did blow it up. We're gonna put exactly this street right here.
Okay.
The TVC.
Sorry, we're getting there.
Item 21, you ready? Howard, doing all right?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Manager, City Attorney, and Madam Clerk. My name is Teresa Campo, and I am the Community Development Coordinator. Per the request of Lisa Stillwinter, I am presenting the updated Community Development Action Plan, programs, and items for adoption. The first program that we will talk about tonight is the Housing Rehab Counseling Program. This program will be used as a tool with code enforcement to assist property owners who are in the code enforcement minimum housing process. I will work with them to find solutions and partners to help to bring their properties into compliance. This will hopefully eliminate or reduce the amount of properties that comes before this council for demolition ordinances. The next program that we will be presenting is the Minor Housing Rehab Program. In your package, you received an updated application that we'll be using and also some clarification on the particulars of the program. This program will serve owner-occupied property owners that are in the minimum housing code enforcement process. We will work with property owners to find alternatives and use our money for leveraging grants and loans. The next program that we'll be presenting to you today is the foreclosure and development. The particular property that we have up here has a code enforcement lien on it. I have met with Union County's tax assessor, Mr. Harrell, and to discuss what it would cost to foreclose on this property. This property would take about $5,500 for the foreclosure. This property would go through a request for proposals and would be sold and developed. The final program that we are bringing to council is the development of city-owned lots. An inventory of the properties that the city owned indicated that the bulk of city-owned properties had a negative impact on the Winchester community. So we are coming today to ask council to allow us to go forward with the implementation and development of these properties to seek developers and private partnerships and enterprises along with the community to develop these parcels. Staff recommends that City Council adopt the action plans, and I am open to answer any questions and receive any input
Back up
from
on
council.
your loan program. Now, on this loan, for instance, you go down to maximum grant amount. Okay. Is that, could you loan up to $10,000 from to clean the property off, take the house down, and just make a vacant lot out of it?
No, per your direction, we have eliminated the voluntary demolition and public nuisance grant program. So this would deal strictly with minor housing rehab.
So we're not loaning any money to where they can take the house down and clean off the lot?
No, we will not be doing, that was a grant program, and per your direction, we have eliminated that program.
Okay, very good. That's all the question I've got. Any other questions from the council? Thank you, ma'am. Okay, I have any discussion? Have a motion?
I move that we accept the staff's recommendation here for this community development.
Okay.
I'll second
I
that.
have a motion, second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed?
No.
One opposed. 6-1, you got that, Ms. Bridges? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Appreciate it.
22, presentation of budget message.
With the mayor's approval, the presentation of the budget message is recommended to be accepted as is read in its entirety in public record.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion, second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed?